Hey everybody, GC13 here. Stop me if you've heard this one before. There are no true villains in Steven Universe. And of course, if you've heard that, then you've probably also heard about how terrible the diamonds are, and how they most certainly should be called villains. While I've made my feelings about the redemptions of the diamonds known, if you can redeem Grace, then you can redeem just about anyone, the fact that they can be so easily pointed out to start the show as villains should make you wonder. Just who says there are no villains in this show in the first place? Why, Rebecca Sugar did, you'll hear the response. The problem is, she didn't. Ask anyone where she said this, and the best response you're likely to get is, she said it in an AMA. Well, I wrote an article against this myth almost 3.5 years ago, and I can tell you that she didn't say it in an AMA either. The only AMA she had ever participated in at the time features just 2 questions about villains, and they were specifically about the inclusion of recurring villains. Don't forget, this AMA happened before Joking Victim, and all Ms. Sugar said was, no spoilers. But if she didn't say anything about villains in that AMA, then where could this myth have started? To the best of my knowledge, there was only ever one time Ms. Sugar talked about villains early enough for that myth to get started, in an interview with Gizmodo when Steven Universe was first premiering. The article opens with talking about Steven Universe's exploring fantasy's love affair with reality, something else I've done a video about, and spends a lot of time introducing prospective viewers to the idea of the show. No talk about villains yet. But then, the article mentions the songs in Gem Glow and Laser Light Cannon. It mentions how Ms. Sugar used to board for Adventure Time, and how she was always putting songs into her episodes. And then, it mentions the Ice King, and how he developed as a character. Then finally, in the very last paragraph of the article, we get the quote. But we won't necessarily see that many iconic villains on Steven Universe, says Sugar. The gems aren't dealing with a particular person, but something bigger than that. There's not really a singular enemy. Instead, the conflict will be within the group, and it'll be about Steven figuring out what's right. Obviously, this is far different from the no true villains claim, but you can see how a game of telephone could morph it. Not many iconic villains becomes not many villains, becomes no true villains. When such an obvious contradiction between the show you've been watching and what its creator supposedly said about it occurs, it's probably a good idea to check back to the original source. Rebecca said there are no villains in Steven Universe was common knowledge for a long time, and while plenty of people asked where she said that, it didn't matter that no one ever had an answer. People see headlines, not comments. How does the original quote hold up, though, about there not being many iconic villains? Well, that line was originally given just as the series debuted, and so before a lot of ideas about the show were had, I think it's been proven true. Jesper and Yellow Diamond may be the most iconic enemies the Crystal Gems have ever faced, but encounters with them just never defined the series the same way Finn and Jake battling the Ice King used to. And what about the part of the quote about the conflict within the Crystal Gems? That part was delivered time and again. While Stevonnie jousting with Jasper was exquisite, and a beautiful payoff, Steven and Amethyst fighting over who was the worst Crystal Gem afterwards was much more what the series was always about. What do you think, though? Did you ever believe that Steven Universe had no true villains? What about iconic villains? Do you place any of Steven Universe's on the level of the Ice King? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more cartoon videos.